So next up we have Jack Russo. So Jack is a design technologist. What that means is he's part designer and part front-end developer, although these days he says he's actually opening more code blocks than he is working with design files. He became focused on accessibility through his work in design systems, and he's a huge Firefox fanboy, and actually that's what he's going to show us today. Andrew's obviously a Firefox fanboy as well. He's going to show us Firefox and a particular add-on that they have released to help with accessibility.
Hi, everyone. Yep. Okay, cool. Before I start, I'd just like to know, I wasn't really sure what audience I was talking to. So how many people here are developers? Okay, maybe half the room. How many of you use Firefox day to day? Okay, like most of the developers in the room. Okay, so yeah, my name's Jack. There's a nice photo of me on a good hair day. You can follow me on Twitter at my kind of embarrassing handle, Russo. And yeah, I come to you today not as an accessibility expert, but as a perpetual learner. And something that I am really excited about is what I'm going to show you tonight is I think a new way for people to learn and understand accessibility from a bunch of different angles. So since not everyone's a developer, let me just start with explaining what are dev tools or developer tools. So basically, hang on. Ooh. Developer tools are a suite of tools that help developers in their day-to-day jobs. There's a whole bunch of kind of different angles on the work that we do every day, and developer tools help us achieve certain tasks. Now, there are already accessibility-focused dev tools. Most of them are focused on auditing a web page, so they're amazing. They highlight when you violated a web content accessibility guideline. They suggest helpful tips, and they really help when you've kind of like you've done the work and you're like, okay, how did I go? Or a lot of the time they're applied after the fact. So once a web page or a site is well and truly finished, maybe months or years later. So some of the most useful ones and the most widespread ones are the Lighthouse audit panel in Chrome, in the Chrome browser. And this is a complicated picture, but basically what's going on here is I've run an audit in Chrome and I've got back my score, which is 59 out of a possible 100. And I've got a whole bunch of issues that the Lighthouse tool has highlighted to me, which is so helpful because, I mean, you learn as you go and you can't know all this stuff up front. No one's born with the knowledge, so it's really useful. Likewise, there's another tool called Axe, which is also awesome. And if you use Firefox, maybe you're using Axe. And it does much the same thing. Same rule set, yeah. And yeah, that's why. That's why it does much the same thing. Okay, so yeah, that's just my slide to remind me to say these tools are great. I'm not saying there's better tools available now. But why would we want a new tool? What do these tools not cover? And to do that, I got to kind of like rewind, and we're going to talk about like how does assistive technology like a screen reader or a braille display actually construct an interface for a user? And it's with a core concept is programmatically expressed semantics, which sounds really complicated, but I hope it's not. So amazingly, this is verbatim from a Google Developer Advocate website, and I think the Google Developer Advocate is in the room. So, hi. Okay. Well, so when you're coding and you're writing HTML, every element has some non-visual metadata that goes along with it. So you might think of as a button as a button, a visual button, but it's also got this other data that comes along with it when it's in the document. So it's got a role, a name, a value, and a state, and all of these things kind of contribute to how that element is expressed in a bunch of different situations. So if we were to think about, like, if your job didn't include building a visual interface and you were just trying to communicate to people through screen readers, you'd probably you'd think about it a lot more like a flow diagram, like what's in this picture. You might have groups, and you might have things within those groupings, and you'd need to say for each item, like a radio button, it would need to have a name, round trip, state, selected, and so on. And so, like, when you see code like this, and to a sighted user, this is an input with a name label, and you go, yeah, that label is for that input. But when that is taken out of a visual context and it's picked up and it's moved somewhere else, that association is lost unless it is programmatically expressed, the association between the things. And it's actually really easy to do. So with that label, all we had to do was add a for attribute. And then now, no matter where that form element is picked up and moved around, if it's a screen reader context, it's going to be associated with that input. So the browser takes the DOM tree, or the code you write, which is then transformed into the DOM tree, and it's modified into a form that's useful to assistive technology, and then a screen reader or whatever assistive technology uses that tree to structure its interface. Okay, so that was like a lot of information, and I know only half of you are developers. But I guess you can understand that if you're not a user of assistive technology yourself, there's a risk of this feeling kind of abstract, perhaps. And I think a lot of people have to, as the last speaker said, they have to have that moment where it is humanized for them, and they go, oh, this is something I really care about. But what if there was like another way, like a discoverable way for developers to explore the accessibility tree and see what it's like for a screen reader, what the screen reader sees? And that takes me to my little demo. So I have a form here, and it's a really simple. It's a box on a screen with two elements here, and I'm using Firefox Developer Edition as my browser. So if I open the DevTools, the first thing I want to do if I want to enable the accessibility inspector that I'm showing off is to go into this, what's this called? It's a Customized Developer Tools, and go into the settings and tick this accessibility checkbox, which brings this panel to the forefront, which is the thing that I'm demoing. So let's turn it on and let's see what's going on here. What we get back is actually what a screen reader sees. So it's that accessibility tree that I talked about before. So we're not seeing anything visual on the screen. We're seeing what a screen reader gets as those semantics. And this is actually a bad form because in my haste, I forgot to do some things. So I can see that even though there's two form fields here, two text inputs, only one of them has the label associated with the entry. So this input, the name of it is e.g. Arya Stark, which is the placeholder, and that's not actually what I want. So if I hop into my my DOM inspector over here, which is probably a bit small, I'm going to bump that, sorry. I can actually go over and I can do exactly what I said before, which is to add a for attribute. And now here's a little thing that a trick for young players. Right now, you've got to turn off at least in my build or tonight, I had to turn off the accessibility features, turn it back on to see that difference. So now I've got a label for that form called name, and yeah, so essentially I've done what I did before in that demo, where I've associated that programmatically in a way that it can be used in multiple contexts, not just a visual context. And I have some other little things I was going to fix, but I mostly just want you to have a look here and see that there's a whole bunch of, if we go back here, there's all sorts of things going on. A lot of this is code specific, and a lot of it has some styles applied. But the accessibility tree is just the content. And that's what's so exciting about this new tool. You get to see that content expressed semantically. All right, so that's the demo. I'm so excited about this. And I will say that Chrome has something similar. It does have a little accessibility panel. It's not as big, and I don't. It's not. It's smaller, and it's not as easy to explore the tree. And I actually, personally, as someone who points and clicks with a mouse, I actually keep bouncing out of it. So anyway, I'm really excited about these new tools. One of the reasons is discoverability. So it's actually built in as a first-class citizen, or it's a first-class concern in this tool suite. So it encourages exploration of the accessibility tree, and therefore understanding. So as a developer, so many of us learn by lifting the hood and fiddling with what's under there, and kind of learning by seeing what other people are doing. But what's really cool is you can see what a screen reader sees right there while you're working, flipping between and seeing how your changes impact that, which can be more practical than typing something and then listening to a screen reader and then typing something if you're not used to using a screen reader. So it's really cool. The other thing is it doesn't actually fight any of the other tools in that toolkit that I expressed earlier. They both work, they all work hand in hand, and they all help you. So that's really cool. Also, the accessibility inspector is also accessible. And basically, can you use it? Yes, in Firefox Nightly. Yes, in Firefox Developer Edition. Yes, in the beta. But if you're just plain old Firefox, you're going to have to wait until the 26th of June until Firefox 61 is released. But you can play with it right now, as I showed. Really quickly, we're looking for a product manager where I work. Hit me up if you're looking for a new challenge. You don't even know where I work, but we'll talk about it later. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Jack. You took actually what is quite a technical concept and delivered it really, really well. So well done on that.